Hey folks, Taco here. Not the best time for light, but I just spent the last hour and a half pouring through all the tools and garbage under the seat in my car trying to find my microphone. So hopefully sound quality is improved, even if quality visual isn't that great. I wanted to make another video since I had time for it. So let's dive right in. What I've got in front of me is a few plants. One is I think this is a dwarf, my dwarf money tree. I want to try to repot this. I want to work on the roots and this inverse taper. I love the way it looks, but I want it to be just a little bit more of a swell at the bottom. That's going to be one. This one, sorry, still very loud. Actually just needs to be cut off. So you can probably see the top of this is very dead. Color here, brown, color here, green. I've got buds down below. I don't need to repot this. It was potted up this year. It's not bad there. But I will be cutting it off because it doesn't need to be this big. So although my green is kind of, tapered up, I'm just going to come right here, just above that, and there's a top off that. Now this can try to grow as a regular tree. So I'd start to work on some movement there, but that happens. Sometimes you just start again. Great example of that is which I don't know how this thing didn't make it, but it is a variegated Balfour Aurelia. This thing just dried up. It had some scale on it. I tried to get rid of the scale and it just died. Lots and lots of good roots, just like the Rue bonsai that I had before, but it did not make it. So it goes to the final planting angle. Also on this one, I don't believe that this branch is alive at all, so I'm going to take it off. Yeah, I think that one was all dead. That being gone, now I have what is affectionately referred to as a stick in a pot. But I'm hopeful. It doesn't have roots coming at the bottom. It's got plenty of room. It's a nice terracotta pot, and it is a relatively strong plant. This is a trash elder, also known as a box elder. So it's in the maple family, the Acer. I can't remember. Something I probably shouldn't be saying out loud without knowing how to pronounce it. So we're not going to go for that pronunciation. We're going to put that to the side, and I'll address that later. Now, I do want to repot this one, which would be a nice, easy repot. And I've got another one off camera here that some of you may know quite well. But first, I'm going to work on this one. Now, the pot I'm going to put it in is actually much larger than I would normally do, but because I do want to work on getting some roots, I want to put it into this guy. I used my Michael's Rewards and got two 6-inch terracotta pots for $1.06, which is, I think, a pretty good price. I already have the sticker peeled off and a little piece of screen in there, so that way I don't have all my good soil falling down. And I don't think there's any pests on this one. I'm looking over it now. I don't see anything that tells me it's, not doing well. I have good growth on it. It's just starting, so I'm hoping that means a lot of the energy is surging up into the top of this. I can cut off the bottom and not worry too much about it dying off. So here we go. We're just gonna use I try to catch as much soil as I can, and I actually bake it. Sorry, that was a big boom. This thing's pretty firm in here, which is okay. It's very firm in here. I might have to, maybe you can see this, but it's incredibly firm. Wow. Very impressed. It was having issues draining at one point. I'm not upset about that at all. That's pretty good. Lots of good mycorrhiza. I can reuse the pot, of course. I love this pot. On another tropical. I don't want to put it in something that's not tropical. But yeah, that looks really nice. I do have my screen in the bottom. Of course, there's some roots growing through that. Not bad at all. So I'm going to use the Bobcat Bonsai root hook from Matt and just do a little scraping off of what I can. As I was afraid, a lot of these roots are still super, super low. And so I've got to address that. It does not mean that I'll be able to get rid of the bottom of this yet, but at least I'm going to try to work on that. Yeah, this thing's not bad. I think I see where my drainage issue is coming from. It's not actually from the plant itself, but it's what I thought was mycorrhiza is some of that fullered earth that I put in before. So that's not good. I need to not have that clogging holes, drainage holes in particular. All right, almost to the point where I think I can take this off. Now I will bake that, take it off of here, but definitely not upset that this thing is living so well. And it doesn't look like I've got too many bad roots. They're just all way too low. So I've got to work on that. I do not want this thing to be, root base all the way down here. This inverse swelling is still an issue. All right, I'm gonna put that down, and I'm gonna use my brush here to try to brush away and see where I've got an opportunity. Because I want to see where the roots are. God, my light's terrible. Oh, there we go. It's a little better. So a lot of my roots are down at the bottom, and they're actually not bad as far as radial. This was probably originally from a cutting, but that's not what I want. I like roots like this one. They're a little higher, but I really want it really, really high. I don't dare cut the top off this thing, or cut the bottom off this thing and just plant it. But what I do want to do, now it's got all this vigor up top, I'd like to trim down these roots a little bit. And that's where my dirty printers here will come into it. So I'm going to come below all these roots and cut it so that way I can try to regrow a new root base. So you can see big old cut there. I'm going to cut as high as I can now that I know a little bit more about where my roots are. That's a little bit shallower. And that's not a solution, but you can imagine this being in this pot. If I put it back in there the way it was before, it's a lot prettier, and that's really going to be my goal, is to get up to here. Now, in order to do so, I'm going to have a lot of issues as far as cleaning this up. What I think I'd best do is just take one more big slice off the bottom. And then I'm going to get this thing ready to plant. Now I'm going to plant it rather deep. My reasoning for that is that I want to, again, grow roots higher up. Now I'm not going to plant it all the way down the bottom. That would be silly. But I am going to plant it a little bit lower to the bottom. My reasoning is this is a tropical plant for me, so it's indoors, outdoors, indoors, outdoors. And having the plant a little low, for me, help me control water spillage and all that. I do like it, and these training pots being a little bit higher. So, not bad looking. Again, I've got some roots left. Nothing amazing, nothing, to write home about, but some roots. I am just going to trim this one long one back a little bit. Just take the tip off it. Those aren't the roots I want to keep. You can see there's roots up higher, but right now what I've got to do is just work on it. That's quite low in the pot right now. I'm going to get my scoop and put some more soil around here, and then from there, we'll see how it does. Now this, of course, creates an issue for space for me because I have everything indoors pretty much, and more things will be coming indoors once I get through this freeze. Some things are frozen to the benches outside, which is, it's okay. They're real trees. They can take it. I wish they weren't frozen to the bench, but they can absolutely take it. So I'm not yet worried about perfect roots. I'm still working on root structure, but as of now, I'm kind of at a holding point. So you can see I'm right about there. I don't need pests on this one, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a little watering. Ooh, sorry to reach over y'all. I've got my not so perfect watering can. I'm going to water it in. So one nice thing about having all this space is I can literally fill it up and let it soak in. All this water is now staying inside here, and it's just slowly working its way down. Which is really good for me. You might be able to hear it as it soaks through. Now that was one. I probably need to do another one because, of course, a lot of times there's still dry spots. You really want to soak in any of this. Let's see if we can hear it. I didn't hear anything that time, but that's okay. That's okay. We're still doing good. A little piece of something. Put it in the bed pal. So that's all worked in. It's looking good. And next, we're going to work on our last tree. This one can go elsewhere, of course. Dripping out real nice. Should have thought of it and brought a little tray for me, but it's all right. We will survive this. The last one is one that a lot of people were curious about. This is my variegated pink lemon tree. And again, it's going to go into one of these pots. And the reason for that is that even though I had every intention and had worked very hard to start making this into a cascade, it's not going to work out for me. But as everyone can see from the pruning, it recovered quite nicely. It does have roots out the bottom, if I remember correctly. Maybe not. That's all right. This one needs to go into a bigger pot to grow more roots out, not just down. With a cascade, it's nice to have a little depth to the roots, especially when you're trying to bounce out a large tree that's hanging over the side of a pot. But this is not one of those. Now, you can probably see I've got some weird stuff with the leaves here. The one thing I'm going to do is trim off this much larger leaf. It smells so good. It smells like Fruit Loops, you know? So that one's off. And then I'll probably trim off a couple more of these just to make sure. It helps me to access, to make sure there's no pests. And this did have a pretty serious mealy infection. Now that I'm able to address the mealies, it's time to keep it addressed versus letting that grow out of control again. One here, big one right here. So now that the big leaves are off, you can kind of see a little bit more of it. You might even be able to see the mealies. But yeah, this has got to be repotted. The planting angle has got to be adjusted because, of course, it's no longer a cascade. And I've got to continue to treat it for mealies. So this has been sprayed down with not soap and water, but actually cleaner. I don't find that mealies die with just soap and water all the time. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, gosh. Good soil I put it in. Lots and lots of roots. But as you can see, it's not really doing its job of being radial. It's getting there, but it's not quite there. So I've got to address all this. This off to the side. And of course, I'm going to be doing some serious length adjustment. So I'm going to come down and do a little one here, one here. And then I've got this big root here coming over underneath that. I think I've got better roots. So let me grab my paintbrush, see if I can show you guys that. Yeah. So this root here, down below, much better root than the one above it. And I think I want to address that first. I'm going to brush the rest of this out. Start to take care of any big roots. So now I can see better. Because the way these trees grow, it's really not tough for me to get visual. You really try to grow roots down, and especially the way I had it planted. So I'm going to take off this bigger root here, give it a little bit better of a shape. Oop, there we go. See, that one's almost dead, but this one down here is much better. I have a root growing off the top of there, so what I'll do is I will cut that off right there as well. Didn't quite cut all the way through. It's okay, because I've got some new root ends started. You can see down below there's one started there, and there's this one here. So I will let those do their thing, because that's what I want. I want roots coming down. So I'll probably cut this off just in front of the bottom one. Ooh. Kind of like that. And I'll trim that a little bit just to give it a little better shape. It's very straight up and down. I don't want straight up and down. I want a little bit more shape. So I'm going to go ahead and there we go. That's a little bit more of what I'm looking for. See how it flows down the way that Nigel would say. This one here appears to be dead. Yep. So I'm going to take that off. In fact, all of these appear to be dead. So I'm going to take all of them off. Exception of this little one. Oof. one might be alive. Nope, they're all dead under there. So, it's an easy decision. That one was dead. That one's dead. Dead. All right. Well, where I thought I had better roots, I did not. They just decided they were going to die on me. So now I just got this big one here and this little one, and then the new one that started there. I'm hoping this is enough to keep my tree alive. I'm going to come up here, try to shorten this back. There we go. So this has some good, it looks to be, living roots on it. I'm just going to leave those be and trim off just the one sticking straight up like this one. That doesn't need to be coming out. Ooh, and this one either. So now most of my roots are going, out and down. I will shorten this back because it is quite a nice root if you ask me. I'm going to trim this up to get some exposed cambium. Maybe that'll give me some good roots. Leave this one to heal. Ooh, just take the very top off it. So it looks a little bit nicer, and that'll heal over with a real nice scar. These lemon trees do heal very, very nicely, in my experience. It's got enough, hopefully dead mealies on it to start a war. All right, yeah, this one's got to be shortened too, so I'll take it back to here. And this one, I like to redirect it back out front, but I'm afraid to take off too much. Already I'm at a point where I'm almost out of roots. So I'll take it off there. That way I've got everything kind of at the same level. Again, I'm going to put a base layer of soil in here. Already got my screen in. Gotta make sure I don't have any of this old soil. Mealies are a terrible infestation. I do not want that to continue. So I'm going to dump some soil in here. Again, I'm going to plant this rather low. I'm not really looking for branching this far down. What I'm looking for instead is root development and trunk development. So if this develops into a much taller tree, I'll be happy. That was a little dead stub I just took off. Lots and lots of these mealies. I believe these are all dead, but only because I just killed them. And I will treat it again. So now this will sit very nicely. Unfortunately, because this is such a deep pot, you can't see what I'm seeing, but I'm pleased with it. I think it's seen in a good spot. And scoop some soil on top and water it through. And this old soil with the, I'll bake it, pull out the roots, will be really good for another tree. Because there's so few roots, I don't really need to worry about air pockets or anything like that. I'm just going to pat it down. I'm sure it's best practices to do so, remove all the air pockets, but I'm not going to worry about that just now. I am going to leave all the branches on here, just those big leaves I took off, and the reason is it helps me to address any issues with mealies. So that one is now planted quite low. I'm going to water it in again. Ooh. So yeah, the lemon tree, even though it had a lot of rotten roots on there, had a lot of long roots that were very good. And now it'll have even more roots, hopefully in a radial pattern. That's the goal anyways. I'll move something real quick. It's going to be loud. Ooh. Just to address water coming out of my bin here. Now that's watering through. Ooh. And these roots really headed for the hills. Yeah, you can't really hear it going through down this one. That's okay. Get another good water. This one is currently next to a grow light and in the window. I'm going to move it into the other room where it'll be under a grow light, so it'll get light from directly above. Both of these I want light from directly above to continue to move upwards. The other one's kind of where I want it to be, top side, but it's, of course, that could all go away. I really want to work on that bottom side and get the roots the way I want, and I just happen to have that top already done. That was something that I really like. The top as a house plant, and now I'm trying to turn it into a bonsai with some root development. So I think that will conclude this episode. Now, in the future, I'll do some selective pruning on all these, but I think that's a much better home for my little lemon and for my little money tree. So those are done. Ooh, I've got a whole basin now full of water and all kinds of stuff. But I appreciate you all for watching. Hope everyone takes care of themselves. Thank you as always for keeping an eye on me. And I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.